Are you looking for a car that's cheap to buy and won't let you down? Well, today I'm counting down 10 cars that are not only cheap to buy, but they're built to last way past 200,000 miles. There are no nice flashy models on this list, just real gems that keep on working. Hello and welcome back to more High Peak. Well, as we all know, some cheap cars can be quite costly to keep on the road in the long term, but that's not always the case. Some were built and engineered with simplicity and strong parts and they'll last almost a lifetime. These cars might not be perfect or exciting to drive, but they will get you to work and back with boring, dependable reliability. In today's video, we'll run through 10 of those models and we'll talk about what makes them durable and what to watch out for. Right, let's get started. Firstly then, in no particular order, number 1 on my list is the Toyota Corolla. I couldn't possibly do a list on reliable cars and omit the Toyota Corolla. It's one of the best-selling cars of all time. The Corolla's a legend, and for very good reason. Earlier generations like the E120 and the E140, which was known as the Auris here in the UK, they have engines that are simple, parts are cheap and fault tolerance is high. If serviced properly, they'll go well beyond 200,000 miles without any major drama or bills. There are a few things to watch out for though. They do have a tendency to rust. And I'm not talking so much the body panels, but the underside. So one thing you need to do is check the MOT history. If there are repeated advisories or fails for rust, then it's probably best to walk away from that one and shop around. They can occasionally, and this is very rare, but it's something to check for, they can blow the head gasket. So it's definitely worth taking the oil filler cap off and just checking for any mayonnaise-like substance. But generally speaking, they are very reliable cars. Next up then is the Honda Civic. Now the one I'm talking about today specifically is the 8th generation. Now I'm sadly old enough to remember when this car came out and it got some serious attention at the time. It was a really futuristic design at the time and I think even now it's aged quite well. And they're one of the most reliable cars money can buy. The Honda Civic has been around for decades and they're a really reliable car. You can pick these up on the used market for just a couple of grand and you'll get many years out of them. The good thing about the Civic is that the engines are overbuilt, parts are everywhere, and with good servicing these things will continue ticking for years. There are a couple of weak spots though. Wheel bearings can wear out prematurely, which isn't the end of the world. Suspension components can wear out too, and also occasionally timing chain tensioners can fail, but it's rarely catastrophic. Personally I'd opt for a petrol because I think they're far more reliable than a diesel, and really a clean history Civic is a really safe bet. Next up then, if you need something bigger, you really can't beat a Toyota Avensis. Petrol versions in particular are rock solid and inexpensive to maintain. The diesels are a bit more fragile and sensitive, so I'd definitely opt for one of the petrols. If you can find one with good service history, they're one of the smartest used buys out there. They're a really good, solid, dependable, unflashy car. So if you're after a large, practical, sensible family car, you really can't beat a Toyota Avensis. Next up on the list then, the Mazda MX5. While it might be a sports car, the MX5 is famously reliable. Simple systems, light parts and strong engines, they just run forever. Any era of MX5 is always a good option, whether that's the NA, the NB, the NC, it doesn't really matter. There's something there for your budget. The only thing to watch out for really is rust, and sadly rust can eat away at these cars, but if you can find a good one that's been garaged or undersealed regularly, then you've got a really solid, dependable, fun car. Mechanically though, they'll just keep running for many years to come. Right, on to the next one then, the Honda Accord. Specifically now I'm talking about the 7th or 8th generation Honda Accord, and they're just really good cars. They're a similar size to the Avensis, so they're a really practical, comfortable car, and you get Honda's build quality. The engines are strong, as are the gearboxes, and many of these will exceed 200,000 miles with regular maintenance. If you fancy an Accord, I'd go for one of the petrol models. I'd avoid the hybrid and I'd also avoid the diesels. So just go for a good old-fashioned, naturally aspirated petrol, and you shouldn't have any trouble. All of that reliability wrapped in a decent-looking shell makes the Accord a sensible long-term pick. Next up then, if you fancy a hybrid, then I've got to recommend the OG. This is the daddy of the bunch, the Toyota Prius. Despite hybrid fears, the Prius is well proven. It's been around for nearly 3 decades and they're completely bulletproof. Because of its hybrid synergy drive, you've got 2 motors. So you've got the standard petrol engine and you've also got an electric motor to assist, which means there's less wear over time on the petrol engine. Yes, battery replacement can be expensive, but nowadays you can get reconditioned units for a fraction of the price. I've been in countless Prius taxis over the years and they've all got one thing in common, well 2 actually. They've all done mega high mileage and they're all still on the road. Now I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit this, but occasionally when I'm in the back of a Prius taxi, I've had one too many to drink, so I'll engage in conversation with the driver about the reliability of the Prius. It's probably no surprise really that I strike up a conversation about cars, but they're always overwhelmingly positive about their experience with the Prius. On top of that, they're really practical and really comfortable. Anyway, on to the next one then, the Skoda Octavia. Shared VW Group platforms mean that parts are cheap and plentiful. Earlier diesel models, if serviced, can last a very long time. Personally though, I'd go for one of the earlier diesels, one of the 1.9 PD diesels, and not the 2-litre PD diesel, because they can be troublesome. Or, if your budget will stretch, go for one of the later common rail diesels. A bit like the Prius though, they're really dependable workhorses. They're spacious, practical, comfortable, and they make great taxis. One thing I would advise though is go for a manual gearbox, not an automatic. Those early DSGs can be a bit of a headache. Today's video is sponsored by Car Vertical. Now, before you hand over any cash for a used car or motorbike, it's really important that you do a thorough vehicle history check. Otherwise, you just don't know what you're buying. A car might look okay on the face of it, but until you do a thorough vehicle history check, you really don't know what's lurking beneath. I've been using Car Vertical now for years, and every single car you can see on the forecourt, I've checked using Car Vertical. All you do is head over to carvertical.com and type in the reg or the VIN, and then it produces a very detailed report. So it tells you whether it's ever been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. In addition to that, it shows you the MOT history, the ownership changes, the spec of the car, the average market value, and a whole lot more. It doesn't just work in the UK either, it works in 35 different countries. So before you complete your purchase of your car or motorcycle, make sure you do a thorough vehicle history check first using Car Vertical. If you use my promo code HIGHPEAK, that's HIGHPEAK all one word, HIGHPEAK, you'll save yourself 20% off each and every check that you do. Or alternatively, click the link below in the video description. Right, enough of that. Next up then is one of my all-time favourite cars. You really can't beat these little runarounds. It's the Toyota Aygo. Specifically, I'm talking about the first generation Aygo, which came out in 2005 and ran until 2014. The Aygo is one of the simplest modern cars money can buy. Its tiny 1-litre petrol engines are robust, cheap to run, and easy to fix. They're not glamorous or luxurious, but they make great city cars and they'll last a lifetime. I've had dozens of these, probably hundreds of these over the last 15 years, and they rarely cause me a headache. Next up on the list then is the Swedish legend that is the Volvo V70. Specifically now I'm talking about the Mark II model, which first came out in 2001. The engines are good, the drivetrains are robust, and you'll see many examples out there with like 300,000 miles. In fact, I took a 300,000 mile Volvo like this up to the Swiss Alps a few years ago, and it didn't miss a beat. This was a 1,500 mile round trip that I did in a car that had done nearly 300,000 miles that I knew nothing about. That example had the old diesel engine, which I probably wouldn't recommend. For reliability, you're better off going for one of the 2.4 petrols. But still, it got me there and back safely, comfortably, and without fault. They're very practical, very comfortable, and they're nice to drive. Although they do have a big turning circle, but that's probably the only negative I can think of. In my opinion, this era really was the last of the best, and they'll far outlive the newer models. The next one on my list then is quality on a budget. It's the Lexus IS. Now specifically I'm talking about the Mark II IS, the IS 250, which came out in 2005. They're a really reliable car. You've got a bulletproof Toyota engine, a really reliable gearbox, and a nice luxurious Lexus interior. You can't go wrong. The only downside really are servicing costs are slightly higher, the road tax is slightly higher, and it is quite a thirsty engine. But in terms of reliability, you can't beat it. I'd recommend you go for a high-spec one like an SEI or an SEL, and they come with absolutely everything, and I'm talking heated and ventilated seats, sat-nav, reverse camera, everything you can think of. They're far better appointed and far more reliable than any of the German rivals. You need to find one with good service history, and most Lexus owners do maintain their cars well, and go for the 250 petrol. Avoid the 220 diesel because they can be a nightmare. If you find a nice IS 250 there with good history, you've got a luxury car that will last forever. And I think that concludes today's list. So there you go then, there are 10 cars that are cheap to buy and built to last. None are perfect, but they're all really reliable and will serve you well. The trick here isn't just getting the right brand. You've got to get the right engine, good service history, and know about the weak spots. But if you get all that right, then you could have a car here that outlives your expectations. So which of these would you trust to do 200,000 miles? Or if you've had one of these, let me know your experience in the comments below. But until next time, thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'll leave the links below. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.